I, 28, do babysitting on the weekends to make some extra cash. There is one family I definitely should have phased out by now, but the kids are cute, and if I don't have another job, it's easy money. My issue is, the mom is never home on time. She used to not give me return times, but finally I started asking, as it made it impossible to get anything done on the weekends. I'd go babysit, so she could go to brunch, but she'd be gone from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. My whole day was gone. After that, she'd start giving me times, but never stick to them. She wouldn't even call to tell me, she'd just stay out. On Saturday, I got to her house at 6, and she was supposed to be home by 9. I told her she needed to be on time, because I had plans to go out with friends. I was even getting ready at their house, after I put the kids to bed. She promised. Of course, 9 o'clock rolls around, and she's not home. I call her, no response. Text, no response. Another hour. Nothing. Still calling and texting. Finally, it is midnight. By this point, my plans are long ruined, but I'm super angry and exhausted. I call her and leave a voicemail saying if she's not home in the next hour, I'm considering the kids abandoned and calling the cops. I also text her this. I try calling her 30 minutes later, and it goes to voicemail on the second ring. I text her again, and she leaves me on read. If she had reached out saying, hey, I'm staying out until X time, I would have stayed. I don't know any of her family, nor the father of the kids, so I can't call them. I gave her a grace period of 15 minutes and tried calling again, finally called the cops, non-emergency line. They showed up, and I showed her agreement in text from earlier in the week, confirming that she'd be home by 9. They tried contacting her, didn't answer. I was dismissed, and they took the children to the police station. I go home, and go to bed. I am awoken at 3 a.m. by a frantic call. It's her. Where are the kids? Why am I not here? I tell her I followed through on my threat, check the police station. She cursed me out, I hung up, and went to bed. The next day, she sends me an essay saying the kid's father was called, and there's a Department of Children and Families investigation launched against her. She called me every name under the sun, but I didn't think I was wrong until I spoke to a friend with kids. She said I should have just waited it out, and refused to ever sit for her again. She asked if her potentially losing her kids was worth me being petty. Am I the idiot for calling the police? Not the idiot. This is a messed up situation. About 30 minutes late is excusable, maybe an hour. But she told you, in writing, that she'd be out for 3 hours, and ended up staying out for 9. That's not something that happens by accident. And not being contactable by your babysitter is rank negligence. What if one of her kids had had an accident? Oh yes, she'd have blamed that on you as well. She is horribly irresponsible and selfish. Plus only has herself to blame for whatever consequence may come her way. Nothing more important than her fun, and that includes her kids. Stand your ground. And maybe warn any other babysitters who she might try to con into working for her in the future. Not the idiot. You gave her every opportunity under the sun to create a better outcome. You gave her several warnings, and even made sure she got them. Instead, she attempted to hold you hostage of the agreed upon time. You were not being petty. She did abandon those children. She knew she did not have childcare for those 6 hours, and chose to stay out of the home, and make herself unreachable instead. This was leaving her children without a caregiver in the middle of the night. At a certain point, you had to go home, and calling the police was the only way to ensure they were safe for you to leave. Not the idiot. She is an adult and a parent. If she cared about her kids, then she should have come home at the time she said she would, or at least give you an update. She saw your text and still didn't care. She was calling your bluff. If she does lose her kids, that is her fault. Not yours. You gave her warning with enough time to come home. She would have done this to other babysitters. So she was eventually going to have a Department of Children and Families investigation. If the kids are taken away, they should hopefully be given to the father, who hopefully is a better parent. If they are not taken away, well then, Let's hope the mother learned her lesson. So, my wife, 32, and I, 36, have been married 10 years. We have 3 young kids. My wife is a very intelligent woman with a bachelor's and master's degree. She left her job after the birth of our first kid in order to be a stay-at-home mother. It was a joint decision and ultimately the arrangement has worked brilliantly for us. We both find that our lives are more organized and less stressed since she left her job. Our house is amazingly neat all the time. We always have nice sit-down dinners as a family, and our kids benefit from having the mother around so often. We are very fortunate that I make enough so she doesn't have to worry about working or bringing in money. On top of all that, my wife still works for her employer on a contract per diem basis, so she can have some mental stimulation and keep her skills sharp. My sister, 40, is a single mom who works at a grocery store as a cashier and has 3 kids as well. She leaves her kids with us sometimes when she can't find or afford a babysitter. My wife is usually the one to take care of all 6 kids. Yesterday, after my sister picked up her kids from my house, I noticed my wife seemed a bit sad. I asked her what was wrong, and she said my sister made a remark about how easy she has it being a stay-at-home mom. My sister said to her, "I don't get how someone as smart as you can bear it. Do you feel like you're wasting your potential sometimes?" My wife said she made her feel lazy and spoiled. I assured her she's not lazy, after all, she is the one who works 24/7. At least I know when I'm finished working. I had a talk with my sister afterwards. For some reason, she got really defensive and doubled down. She said I don't deny, my wife does a lot, but admit it, she's basically your trophy wife. I got pretty upset and told her if she looks down on my wife so much, then she shouldn't bother bringing her kids over for my wife to babysit anymore. My sister was mad and said she has to work in a few days. I told her she can find a babysitter or call in sick. Am I the idiot here? Afterwards, I felt like what I said was pretty harsh, but at the same time, my sister has no business criticizing my wife while also taking advantage of her as a free babysitter for her kids. Firstly, how refreshing to see a husband stand up for his wife. It rarely happens, and I guess this directly goes towards my not the idiot verdict. I think it's really hard, because you have to pay attention to like 12 things at once all the time, and you're always going. It's mentally and physically exhausting. Even if being a stay-at-home mom is the easiest job in the world, who the hell does your sister think she is to berate someone who is helping her? How gross. I think your wife sounds amazing, especially looking after 6 children at once. Seriously, I would die. Your sister needs to apologize to your wife, at the very least. No idiots here. I think it's a moment of weakness on your sister's part. She's a grocery store clerk with 3 kids. Her upward mobility prospects for her career right now are basically zero, not to mention she has to put her and her kids' health at risk every time she goes into work with the pandemic going on. She sees your wife with so much potential your sister does not see in herself, choosing to not pursue a career with it, and that's frustrating for your sister who is struggling right now. I think you and your sister should sit down and have a heart-to-heart. Just hash things out, let her know how her comments made you feel, and get to the root of why she made those comments in the first place. You are the idiot. Your sister didn't insult your wife, she went about trying to talk with her in an awkward way, sure, but she literally called her smart and only asked how she was feeling about it. It's a normal thing for women to talk about with each other when they're close. If there were more of an equal dynamic, maybe it would be more in line with how the herd is agreeing. But it sounds like she struggles, and here you and your wife are with more than you need in every area, and now she's out of childcare on short notice because she made a mistake in bringing up a normal topic of conversation. Me, 16, and my mom don't have much of a good relationship. They had a bad divorce after my mom left my dad for some guy when I was 7, and I only saw her once every 6 months because she got married then buys with her new family. Since last year, she wanted us to start talking more and seeing each other. and finally met my 2 half-brothers, who are 6 and 4. Then her 2 other stepkids around the same age as me. I'm only with her on weekends, and last one they were doing Christmas photos they send to the family. And I mean her husband's family, and also my mom's. So like my grandparents, my aunts, cousins etc. They had a photographer actually come. Everyone was dressed for it except me, and she told me it just wouldn't make sense if I'm in it since the pics are also going to her husband's family side. But then I argued, well, our family side is getting pics of his kids, so why does it matter? Like she said, she wanted me to be part of their family when I started staying over since last year, but now they don't want me included in their family photo. My mom told me it's not a big deal, and I just went upstairs while they did the thing. I don't know why, but it just made me really mad but also sad. I didn't want to stay there a weekend, so my dad came after sending him a text. My mom argued with him outside because it was only Friday. And I told her I didn't want to stay there if she doesn't want to include me in their family, and I'd rather go be with my dad. My mom is still mad about it. She says she didn't mean to treat me that way, but how I behaved after cutting out our time was mean, and that hurt her feelings. And I'm the idiot for reacting that way? For me, it still hurts, so maybe that's why I don't see if I was wrong or not cutting off our weekend short. Not the idiot. Your mom negates your place in her family so clearly, so completely, and in front of every other local relative she has, then has the gall to claim you are in the wrong because you had to escape that situation to deal with your obvious pain. Wow. I don't see how this woman can have a single relationship based on emotional health. Her moral foundation is a crumbled mess. You would be beyond reproach to block her totally, to go utterly and fully no contact, until you hear from others that she is desperate to apologize and beg for your forgiveness. This situation told you everything you need to know about your mother. I am sorry. You deserve so much better. It sounds like your mom still is not certain what kind of relationship she really wants with you. I know that sounds awful, right? It is difficult in the extreme because you want a mom and child relationship, and you did not get that. You probably will not get that with her now. Still, it sounds like she says what she thinks she should say, and then does not know how to go through with it. Maybe her heart is not done figuring it out. You are not the idiot. She is behaving less maturely than you are. And you should not have to be more mature than your parent. You are a good person and worth knowing. She may see that someday. Not the idiot. If she has the right to not want you in her photos, then I guess you have the right to not want to be in her house. She treated you like a second-class family member. So it shouldn't surprise her that you'd rather spend time with the parent who treats you like a valued family member. I'm sorry about your jerk mom. She sounds like a selfish jerk. I'm glad you have your dad. He sounds like a good man, driving to pick you up when you needed him without any hesitation, and then standing up for you when he got there. Tell him how much you appreciate him. I hope you know that this incident says nothing about you and your worth, and everything about your mom's character. I volunteer at my child's school. It's a small school, the parents are pretty involved. I'm there a couple of hours a day, 2 or 3 times a week. I help prepare class projects, take pictures, work on the yearbook, all the random little things to help the teachers out. Occasionally, I will cover the front desk, and part of my duties include checking out children who go home early. I cannot possibly know every child and their parents. We have a procedure. I check the adult's identification and then check it against the child's file to make sure the adult is authorized to pick the child up. We do not want to release a child to the creepy neighbor, a strange parent, etc. One afternoon, a man comes to get his daughter. I respectfully ask him for his ID. He throws a toddler-sized temper tantrum because he doesn't want to show me and is so incredibly rude. Lots of curse words directed to me from him. I kept my composure but stood my ground. I was not rude at all, I was patient, but I will not release a child to an adult that has a problem showing me his ID. He was being petty, by holding his ID in a way that makes it difficult for me to read his name. He wouldn't fill out the school log sheet. It's literally one line asking for date, time, name, and signature. I insisted that he sign the log after I filled it out for him. Instead of placing it back on the counter like a decent person, he just drops it to the floor. Anyways, I'm flabbergasted at how rude this man is to me. I've never met him or had any interaction with him before. I get his daughter and they leave. A couple of weeks has passed, and I'm helping out with afternoon car line. The parents are supposed to have their sign up to make it easy for teachers to match kids with cars. This man is first in car line every day, no sign. And he has this aggressive dog with him. I could just ignore him as I know whose parent he is. Instead, I knock on his car window to ask for his sign. He pretends he doesn't see me and ignores me. I knock again, and his aggressive dog starts barking and scratching up the dash on his car. So I stand there for 2 minutes or so, waiting for him to roll down his window so I can ask him who he is picking up. And every time I knock on the window, his dog goes nuts. He stares at me and pushes me away. This is secretly hilarious to me. I've done this 3 days in a row now. Am I the idiot for acting like I don't know who he is and make his dog go nuts on purpose? Not the idiot. You are following protocol, and he is the one choosing to ignore it. He should be happy that you are being proactive about his child's safety. Our schools actually have sheriff's deputies on campus, so the deputy is there during end-of-day pickup. Have your school's deputy inquire as to this guy's daughter's name. He won't put up with a barking dog or ignorant ad. If your school doesn't have a deputy, just ignore the guy until he either puts up his daughter's name or tells you her name. After he sits there being ignored and bypassed a few days, he'll change his mind. Entitled fools are so tiring. Not the idiot. I would do it until he either gets a sign or his entire dash is torn up by his dog. I am mean enough to keep some dog treats in my pocket and wave them at his dog until he opens the window. Dog gets treat, you get name. You give the treat to the guy, not the dog. Who knows if the dog bites? But you are helping the dog get more socialized, and it will drive him nuts. Also insist on his ID for every pickup without a sign. He is not more important than all the other caretakers picking up children. He deserves everything he's getting. Thank you for protecting the kids. You should mention him to other volunteers. This extremely disrespectful and rude person is facing some consequences. In this particular case, you're not the idiot. You're just the embodied instrument of karma that so many other unfortunate innocents that come in contact with this person wish on him throughout the day, but never get to see. To be honest, he should have already lost the privilege to be on school grounds. I'm sure you amassed a large and grateful following of invisible admirers for finding such a vulnerable spot in this Black Knight's rusty armor. This is too funny, and just for there to be any reason to stop doing it. I hope you continue. Thanks.